then, if we will drop our nets and we will trust Jesus, then we can start talking about the church and how to lead the church beyond. We talk a lot about how to stay relevant and how we're going to change and go beyond. We got to keep up with technology and all that, friends. I know we got to try to keep up with the culture somehow, but I am more convinced than ever that we don't need to worry mainly about keeping up with the culture. We got to worry about keeping up with Christ. And if we do that, the culture stuff will take care of itself. It really will. I'm more convinced than ever. So if we're going to talk about the church going beyond, I got to tell you this one. This is so old. I think Wayne Smith told this like 40 years ago, but some of you won't even know it. Those of you who are old enough to remember, you've already forgotten it. And the rest of you don't know who Wayne Smith is, so I just tell you. There's this guy. He gets this brand new Ferrari 550, right? It's a beautiful car. It costs him $100,000 or whatever. He pulls up to this red light, and this old geezer, 95-year-old guy, pulls up next to him. He's wearing bow tie and suspenders. He's on a moped. Pulls up next to him. He's like, "Ah, nice car, sonny." And, the old guy's like, yeah, cost me a lot of money. Well, really, well, why does it cost so much money? Well, it goes 0 to 200, in about 10 seconds. It's like, yeah. The guy's like, wow, mind if I take a look? And he says, no problem. So a guy gets off his old moped, and he starts looking around in there and kind of checking it out. It's like, well, it's a nice car, sonny. And he gets back on his moped, and about then the light changes, and the guy in the Ferrari says, I'm going to show this old guy. I'm going to show him. He steps on it. Boom. That thing takes off. It's going like 90 miles an hour. Boom, just flying down the road. But then he's really surprised. He sees in his rearview mirror, there's this dot that keeps approaching. It's gaining on him. And all of a sudden, whew, this guy just whizzes right by him. He's like, what could whiz by me? I'm going 90 miles an hour. It kind of ticks him off, so he steps on it. He's going like 120 now, and he gains on that thing. And he can see it's the old man on the Ferrari. Well, that really ticks. It's the old man on the moped. That really ticks him off. So he steps on it again. Now he's going 120, and he flies by that old man on the moped. And of course, then he's just kind of feeling pretty good about himself till he looks in the mirror and he sees that guy gaining on him again. He steps on it as hard as he can. He's going 180, and about then he's just ready to give in because he sees the guy gaining on him. And then there's a big crash as the moped rams into the back of the Ferrari, and they just tangle to a stop, and there's a big pile of wreckage, and miraculously, as can happen only in jokes, the old man is still alive. And he's lying there in a rubble in his moped, and the man says, I'm so sorry, is there anything I can do for you? And the guy says, yes, you can unhook my suspenders from your mirror. So that's a good one, isn't it? See, that's so old, it's good again. There's at least one thing this week's going to be repeated in every church around the country on the Sunday. That's it right there. Friends, the reality is that in churches, we can be like that old man on the moped, kind of toddling along, doing our stuff on our own strength, and what we desperately need to do is to, if you will allow it, hitch our suspenders to Jesus. Can you imagine if our churches were really led by and catapulted with the power and the leadership of Jesus, how much different they would look, rather than doing what we're doing and asking Him to somehow sanction it? The rest of this conference is going to be devoted to specific ways that Christ seems to be calling us to strap our suspenders to Him, if you will, in the church, and to go beyond. Because it seems to me that there are some really important ways that God is calling us to go beyond. Just imagine, as we go this week, attend every session and take it all in, because God is calling us to strap our suspenders to Jesus and go beyond the Great Omission, for example. The Great Commission says, go make disciples, baptize them and teach them, more and better disciples. We just love, though, to kind of emphasize one and omit the other. We have churches in our midst that love to reach a lot of people, have a lot of baptisms, but it doesn't look like there's any proof that anyone's growing really deep and substantive. And we got others that talk a good game about being deep and super spiritual. But I want to know if you're actually really reaching anyone. Really. It's time to go beyond the either or and get back to baptizing and teaching like Jesus. Some of us have to get over a really stupid notion that we got in our heads that you got to choose between those two. That if you're really reaching people, then somehow you're not capable of going deep. Or if you really want to be deep and spiritual, there's no dichotomy there. Jesus, the most spiritual guy to ever walk the planet, did not stay in a holy huddle.